Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Should we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? We'll be relaxing as per usual. So I've officially got all the videos, which are not Animal Crossing, recorded for my holiday, which will be in a few days. So basically this weekend is going to be me recording a load of Happy Home Paradise. I've got one already recorded, mind you. So the aim is to record how many more? One, at bare minimum, 5 more, which is perfectly reasonable over the weekend, I think. That's doable in basically an hour and a bit. So, good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 11:03 p.m. on Friday, February 28th, 2025. Final day of February. Get ready for 1st of March, where, I don't know, does anything happen on 1st of March? I was going to say it's May Day, but it's not. That's a completely different month. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about necessarily today. That is part of the journey, I suppose, to figure out. There's not much to say about, I suppose, the games. Xenozone Zero next patch preview. Excited that Polkra's finally coming. Project Sakai has a very, very pretty new set. I don't know. We got to find a conversational topic. Like, this is going nowhere about current things. What is going on? I was going to say, like, what's going on in current events. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that, to be honest. Just, I would say, bizarre is perhaps the only way I can sum it up. Sometimes it feels like we're living in a simulation. Well, yeah. That's perhaps the best I can, or most we're going to say on that. But for now, let's talk about something a bit lighter, happier. Candy floss, even. I must say, I'm not actually a big fan of candy floss. Because they always go like sunshines, rainbows, and lollipops, and that sort of things. When you think of something like childishly, brightly, cute, innocent, I suppose, and that sort of thing. Sunshine, I get, most of the time is sort of like a very bright thing, and rainbows, I suppose, is more of like a product of sunshine. Kind of crazy where they say rainbows, but when they don't say rain, Why do they? What weather phenomenon do they think it's a namesake after? Lollipops, sickly sweet, which I guess makes sense. I feel like unicorns is one which just gets tied more into it. But I don't know. Does candy floss feel like it's a better, in the like holy quaternary of, I don't even know what I classify those as, like overly saccharinely cute sweet things, sunshines, rainbows, lollipops, and unicorns. I feel like candy floss is better than lollipops here. Because, for one thing, I guess the only way lollipop, I think, fits that image is if it's that swirl lollipop. Which, by the way, not very common, at least in the UK. I've only seen them almost like for show, if anything. I don't know if that's like what the most common American type of lollipop is, the one which is like a big spiral, which is also like a twisted spiral in of itself. The most common lollipop I feel like in the UK, there's two very common ones. One being Chupa Chups, which is basically just like a hard candy on a stick. And the other one is probably Mawams, which is like a soft gummy. I guess it's kind of like taffy, I think, if you're American. I'm also not sure because I haven't had taffy before, so I'm not sure if that's true. But it's like this very sort of chewy, gummy sort of lollipop on a stick. But those big swirly lollipops things, I'm like, for one, I don't think I've ever had them before. But that seems to be like the way that lollipops are kind of depicted, which, it's kind of how like a lot of things sort of go, is the depiction of them tends to be not a fantastical version, but it tends to be the more extreme. Sounds a bit too much as well. The more visually interesting, I suppose, version of them, right? I'm trying to think of another good example. It's kind of hard to think of something like this off the top of your head. You kind of need to think of something and be like, oh yeah, that's what I'm referring to. But kind of like the way that the sun is like a circle with like squiggly lines coming off of it. Obviously the sun's really more just like a radial eminence of light. It's not like those radial lines really exist. They're kind of like sun rays, I suppose, which, but not technically accurate, mind you, but still, it's more of a representation of a sort of thing. But those lollipops do genuinely exist. And I feel like I only see them in things which are like candy. It's like a candy store sort of aesthetic. It's like they're trying to like push very hard, being like, yes, this is a lollipop, Does that make sense? That might not make any sense to you whatsoever, but it makes sense to me in the way that I'm thinking about it. But the other lollipops are way more common in the UK, at least. In fact, hold on. Lollipop. Wikipedia. Let's see what picture they use for the lollipop. Yeah, they use a spiral lollipops. These rainbow lollipops. So I guess this type of lollipop must be the most common or something in America. Or something. I don't know if there's a different types. A Tootsie Pop. Yeah, okay, that's what Chupa Chups is. It looks like a Tootsie Pop. Known as Tootsie Chupa Pop in Latin America. Hold on. Chupa Chups. It's a Spanish brand of confectionery. No idea it was Spanish. I was going to say that makes sense when I think about it more. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. I had no idea Chupa Chups was Spanish. Barcelona it's made. But Chupa Chups is like the go-to of a Spanish verb chupa, meaning suck. That makes sense. Similar confections are known as lollipops or suckers in English. Oh. Suckers. I've never heard them called suckers before. Must be an American name. But yeah, they're kind of like a Tootsie Pop, except for the Tootsie Pop, as I understand it, has a different center, right? Compared to a lollipop. It's like if it's the outside of a Tootsie Pop all the way through, I think. Again, I've never had a Tootsie Pop, so I don't actually know. All I know is like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? 1, 2, I mean, you lose count or something. Lollipops can be used to carry medicines. Can be used for diet aids. Really? For power suggestion. Analgesic lollipop. Actic. Okay. Fentanyl? Okay. Use large amounts of opioid pain can take Actic on a handle in order to control breakthrough cancer pain. That's cool. I had no idea that was a thing. Yeah, Chupa Chups. Oh, Dum-Dums. What? Dum-Dums are not what I thought they were. But they're kind of like Dum-Dums, I guess. Because now I think about it, there's two types of very common of these like spherical lollipops instead of a spiral lollipops. There's a Chupa Chups one, and there's, I don't know what brand it is, but it's like, it's a similar like texture and feel to, what are they called? I know they're called Smarties in America, but that's not what they're called in the UK. I can't remember what they're called in the UK. They're like these sort of like dusty condensed powder pills is probably how I describe them. Smarties, US candy. Hold on. Yeah, it's like a tablet candy. What is this called in the UK? What is this called? Smarties US candy, name in UK. What American Smarties called in England? Refreshers. Is that what I'm thinking of? No. Well, these are not quite what I was thinking of. Maybe it is what I'm thinking of, but I'm just thinking of a different brand. Because these refreshers of a thing I think about are like the long stick of gummy sort of things. Fizzes, that sounds right. Love Hearts is also, yeah, that's a fair comparison. Yeah, okay, Fizzes is what I was thinking of. But it's like those lollipops are made out of whatever Fizzes are made out of. I have no idea what brand those are. Maybe they're just like Fizzes lollipops. Fizzy suckers? Fizzes? This is very confusing. Swizzle lollies? What on earth is going on? I don't know if the world of lollipops was such a vast range of different products, you know? I was going to say it's bewildering. It's not bewildering. It's just sort of surprising. It's perhaps a word I'd use. How much there possibly is. About everything. Swizzle fizz. This is an interesting thing. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know there's so many lollipops. Chupa Chups clear toy candy. Oh, okay. It's like a shape or something. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Dum Dums hard candy. Pirulin. What's a pirulin? It's a conic-shaped hard candy of about... It's in Argentina, Colombia, and Cuba, so it's like Latin America. Very popular. Pirulinero. Pirulinero? Pirulo. What does it mean? I don't know, it looks pretty good, right? It just looks like a giant Spanish, giant spiral is what I meant to say. Like unicorn horn. Hard candy is boiled sweet in American to British English. That makes sense. I've never actually thought about that. A whistle pop? What's a whistle pop? It's literally a lollipop in the shape of a whistle. That's quite creative. I don't think I've ever had these before. Despite the fact it says that they are in the UK, I've never seen them. Ring pop, that's true. I've also never had one of those before. I've seen people have them in theme parks, and I've always been very jealous in the same way that like a child would be jealous of seeing some random thing and immediately going like, I want that. I didn't want that. I didn't really like sweets that much when I was growing up, to be honest, but it's wild. But yeah, I've always thought, not always thought about this, but sometimes that crossed my mind. But are these spiral lollipops the most common lollipops in America? Because they must be, because that's how it's always portrayed. Like in the media, if you need like a lollipop icon, you would use this. But when I think lollipop, I don't think this. I think of a Chupa Chup. I think of like a hard candy or a boiled sweet. Simple color. It's just a simple shape of a sphere, and then like it's got like a belt on around it, and a thick belt on in the middle. And that's what I think of. And I also haven't seen a Chupa Chup like in real life for ages. The thing is, like lollipops, I kind of get them, but also kind of don't at the same time. Because why would you have a Chupa Chup? Like, why would you have a lollipop when you could just have a hard candy, like a boiled sweet instead? I guess it's if you're like, oh, I don't want to, suck on this forever. I want to have a break. But then you're just kind of holding out like a piece of equipment that you've just like rubbed your saliva over for like the entire like, I don't know, past few minutes or whatever. Ain't that strange? I will say, that sort of like bad girl aesthetic, like having a lollipop though instead of a cigarette though. That's a vibe. Not for me, but that's a vibe for someone else. So that I get, but it is a bit of a strange. Is it a strange concept? I'm not sure, because I feel like it makes sense in some things. Like an ice lolly makes sense to me because you can't hold a piece of ice in your hand forever, right? So I guess it makes sense to give it like a stand for you to sort of easily eat off of. But a boiled sweet, I guess you also can't hold, because once you start licking on it, it becomes extremely sticky. I guess it, when I put it like this, of something that you stick in your mouth and you put your saliva all over it, and then you like hold it out once you're like done with it, I suppose. It kind of feels weird describing a lollipop like that, but that's kind of what it is. The alternative is you keep it in your mouth the entire time, in which case I guess you'd ask why even have a point of a stick of a lollipop in the first place. In which case I don't really have an answer for you, but I don't know. It's evocative. Evocative of what, you might ask? Don't know. Something. It's just, I don't know. It's just what I'm thinking about. It's just what's on my mind. I don't really know what I don't know if there's any conclusion I can really draw from it. Except for just a, Does that make sense? I don't know if that made sense to anyone. It made a vague sense to me. But yeah, the spiral lollipops. I'm going to Google this. Is the spiral lollipop the most common in US? History of lollipops. Swirl lollipop machine. I don't know. I need someone's like anecdotal experience. If you grow up in America, are those spiral lollipops the most common one? Is that what you think of when you think of lollipop? Because it's not what I think of when I think of lollipop. I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way, for thinking of it. It always confused me as a child growing up, because I was like, I've never seen a lollipop like this. When I think lollipop, it's always with Chupa Chups. Because it's used to, at least when I was growing up, I don't know if it's the case anymore. It used to be very common in primary school for kids on my birthday. They would bring in like a multi-pack of sweets or something, and basically at the end of the day of a lesson, but when everyone like goes to leave a classroom, you would hold that bag of sweets open, and then everyone would like reach in and grab like one candy and then leave, and it'd be like, yeah, it's a celebrating your birthday sort of thing. I don't know if that's still a thing, by the way. I hope it is, because I guess it was kind of nice, but I guess traditions come and go, sort of, and it didn't, it's not like a big traditional thing or something, because I never heard of it, obviously. Well, my parents obviously never heard of it. I only found out about it like when I went to primary school, and I suppose very luckily my birthday was very early in the year, so it was before the school year started most of the time, so I never had to face the humiliating embarrassment of coming in not having brought in some sweets for the rest of my class. Anyway, whenever those happened, I would always go for the lollipops, because I like Chupa Chups. Well, I liked them when I was younger. I probably still do like them now, but probably like not to the same degree or anything. And I remember one time, I can't remember whose birthday it was, not that it really matters to you, but like I went in, grabbed a lollipop, and then I left, and I'd be like, whoa, this lollipop's completely different. And it wasn't a drumstick, it wasn't those Mao-Am lollipops, it was the one which is made out of the same sort of coating as Fizz's. Sort of is, the sort of like powdery kind of lollipop. And I was like, second, and I'd be like, this is so different and weird. I do prefer the Chupa Chups type of lollipop. And I think the fun thing about Chupa Chups is always, one, the packaging I feel like is very iconic. And two, just a different flavours you get. I remember once going into because it's weird to say that they used to be really common in pharmacies. I don't think they're there anymore, but they used to be like this, I can only describe it as like a tower bouquet of Chupa Chup lollipops, or like poking into it. Like imagine the game of Kaplunk. But instead of the sticks being like these long like plastic needle things across, it's Chupa Chups being stuck in, and you're not actually playing a game of Kaplunk. But it's used that to like display. And then I remember like sometimes going to the pharmacy with my parents and looking at it being like, whoa, look at all these crazy colours. What does this electric blue taste like? And it's always raspberry for some reason. We really like blue raspberry, and I don't know why that association comes across, because raspberries are not blue. Big surprise. I don't know, let's see. Why is it blue raspberry? From a laboratory, obviously. It started when makers of ice pops had more red flavours than shades of red dye. Oh! Kids who wanted a cherry ice pop could not figure out which one to select, so when they started making raspberry flavour, they just dyed it blue. Oh. The flavour mimics a black cap raspberry. Okay. A wild berry most of us have never even seen or eaten, which I guess has a tiny bit of shade of blue to it. That's crazy. I wondered why it was blue raspberry, and now the answer's been given. And it does make sense. That's a fantastic idea, because strawberry, if it wasn't, you have like, yeah, strawberries, cherries, watermelons, all very strongly associated with red. Strawberry being like the default red, and cherries I associate with like a darker red, and then watermelon I guess I associate it with like a much brighter, more vibrant red. But that's like too many in the same sort of sphere, because I guess nature likes to create fruits and berries within the same sort of colour palette, to its own dismay, because there's not many things in the blue. You got blueberry, and now you got blue raspberry, just by association. That's weird to think about. That's a great topic for another time, is the colours you associate with fruits because of the candies. But anyway, I guess this time we talked about spiral lollipops, which are not all that common, at least for me, in the UK. Anyway, on that note, I guess I'll round this episode off here. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.